This picture right here was taken by Rich Scamhorn back in the 50s. This is a great picture. This epitomizes Bristol High School to me. His sister Trudy sent it to me, and I thought that it just made a great cover picture for the start of what we're going to talk about. This is what Bristol High School looked like in, let's say, 1955, 6, 7, somewhere in that time. Everything I'm going to talk about as far as the one-room schoolhouses in Washington Township, I've got one person to thank for that, and that's the gentleman that wrote this book right here, a fellow by the name of Dean Garber from Goshen. He wrote this book in 1991. He passed in a little after 2001, I believe. This is a very in-depth book. He writes about every single one-room schoolhouse in Elkhart County. Now, there's not pictures of every one, but there's copy about everyone, and that's an amazing that's an amazing thing to do. There were a lot of schools in Elkhart County, and from that I was able to glean out what I was looking for the Washington Township, the local schools. Almost all the information that I got that I rounded up for this came from this book. Several of the pictures come from there. And what we wanted to do is, for this program, was focus on Washington Township and close by. Most of you know Washington Township is one of 16 townships in Elkhart County. If you look it up on Wikipedia, which is quite a trip, you're going to find Washington Township, Elkhart County, Indiana is approximately 26 square miles. There is one incorporated town in that township, and that is Bristol. And the other discerning fact that they put in there is that it was named after our first president. Now, I would have been surprised if it had been named after anybody else, and I didn't have the heart to go look up, see what Jefferson Township was named after. But anyway, that's what you find out about Washington Township. So what we're going to do tonight, what we're going to attempt to do, is find out how in Washington Township in the Bristol area, education went from this, which was the first schoolhouse in Bristol in 1838, to this, which was the next to the last school built in Washington Township. The Bristol Elementary School was built afterwards. This picture was taken, the building was built in 1903, but this picture was taken around 1910, I think. So we're gonna find out how we went from here to there. And in order to do that, we have to go back into the 1800s and look at what was going on in education in this community, in this township. There are some important dates that we need to bring up. I want to do a travel log of the different schools in Washington Township, and we'll do that here in a little bit, but I've got to set the where we're at to start with. So some of the important dates to remember in Washington Township, you know, the Indiana was declared a state in 1816, I believe. 1824, they passed a law that each one of the townships needed to appoint 3 advisors, 3 trustees, to hunt up first the funding, then the land, then build the schools to educate the kids in the area. So 3 people were involved in acquiring the land and then building the buildings. You know, we're talking the first school in Bristol was built in 1838, and that was not the first school in Elkhart County. So if you think about the needs of the people in the 1830s, one of the biggest needs when it comes to schools was that the schools had to be somewhat close together, because there were no school buses. You weren't going to hop in mom's station wagon. She wasn't going to take you to school. You were either going to walk or you were going to ride on a pony or something along that line. So, excuse me, the schools needed to be kind of close. So they got the school started up in the late 1820s and early 30s. Again, Bristol's first school was 1838. And one of the things they quickly realized that we needed to have some sort of ground rules for our teachers. We can't just get the guy who isn't busy being our teacher. So in 1850, politicians passed a law that we needed to have some standards for our teachers. They needed to pass certification so that they could be good teachers. Now, that kind of struck me as funny. Politicians arguing about education back in the 1820s and 30s. I think there's still a few of them today that are still in that group up there talking about things. But in 1852, two trustees were elected and put in charge of in each township of all the school affairs. They were in charge of. Excuse me, there wasn't two, there was one. One township trustee faced election, and he was in charge of the raising of money and the disbursement of money for all the school activities. Now this goes back to 1852, and you're gonna want to need to remember that, because that comes into play about 50 years later. In 1873, a county superintendent was put in charge of the hiring and the firing of all township teachers. Now, that helped maintain the proficiency of the teachers and also give some balance to all the schools. I mean, you had similar teaching going on in this school to this school. We didn't have somebody here who wasn't doing the job and this person's doing a great job. So that was 1853. And then each one of the schools in a township, let's say Washington Township, appointed a representative, and the representatives from each one of those schools got with the trustee. They became a school board. They helped the trustee make decisions on what took place in the schools and all that type of thing. And you need to remember that the Bristol School, the first Bristol School was 1838. That was built out of logs, so all the early schools were log schools. As we got into the 1850s and a little bit later, you started to run into wood structure schools, and then of course you started to run into brick schools. So with all the early schools being built of logs, by 1978 most of the log schools were replaced by wood structures and brick schools. And here's a few figures that I got out of this book before we start a cruise around Washington Township. In Elkhart County in 1878, there were 81 wood frame schools, there were 64 brick frame schools, and in 1878 there were 10 more brick frame schools being built. So, you know, you're looking at 150 schools in Elkhart County in 1878. There were 9,000 students in Elkhart County at the time, 1878. 2 years later, in 1880, and this is all the work of Dean Garber here, so that's where all these figures come from. In 1880, there were 168 students in Washington Township, and there were 390 students in Jefferson Township. So Jefferson was about twice the size of Bristol as far as the student count. And today there are several brick buildings, brick structures that were schoolhouses that remain in the township and in the county. But the last wooden one, the last wooden structure in the entire county is the one that's out at Bonneville Mill right now. And that was rebuilt. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but If you want to see what it looked like in the 1850s, that's a great place to look. So we're going to take a look at the Washington Township schools and what they looked like in the late 1800s. So we're going to start from here. Now, some of you have seen this map before. I've used it before. This is one of my favorite maps. This is a 1892 plat book map of Washington Township. And you can see, just like Wikipedia said, 26 square miles right here. Washington Township is one of the northernmost townships in one of the northernmost counties in Indiana. So, of course, the northern border is going to be the Michigan state line right here. The western border is Oslo Township, and basically today that's County Road 17. The southern border is Jefferson Township, and just for argument's sake, we're going to call that County Road 14. A lot of County Road 14's on that line. And then the eastern border of the Washington Township is York Township, and then of course that runs through Bonneville out in that area. We're going to start looking at the schools that were in Washington Township in the late 1800s. So to get started, we're going to zoom in here on the big city of Bristol. 1892, this is the bridge in Bristol. Right here is where the Corn Dog Festival was. You probably could smell it when you drive over it. So we're going to go north of town, and we're going to go north of the bridge, and we're going to take the right fork, and that is going to send us out County Road 25 north of Bristol. And I'm going to, from time to time, tie in some of the stuff that's going on today so that nobody gets lost here. So we're getting out into the country on County Road 25. Right in here is the Bristol city limits at this day, and when you see this island, you know you're real close to the toll road. Toll road goes across right here. You'll go underneath the toll road, and we're going to continue north on County Road 25. And we're going to head up here to the intersection of County Road 102 and County Road 25. Now, this is an 1892 map, and it tells you there's a school right there. Well, that isn't where it originally was supposed to be. According to Mr. Garber's book, this school was first located as a log school over here on the west end of County Road 102 and County Road 23, north of Niblock's asphalt plant, across from Pipewort Pond. And that was called the Asher School originally, and it was built as a log school. And when they needed to rebuild it, they moved it directly east to the other end of 102 on the George Frank property. And then the school became known as the Frank School, and it was also known as Trout Creek School. And the Frank School and Trout Creek School is known in Washington Township as School District 4. That's school number 4 in Washington Township. And we're not following them in order because we're going across country. So that's school number 4, Trout Creek School. Now, if you go north on County Road 25, you'll go across the Trout Creek, and you'll go up to the corner up here, which is County Road 2 and County Road 25. Some of you will know that as Cackle Corner. And at Cackle Corner, we're going to turn left, and we're going to go by where I was raised. And we're getting into my stomping grounds, and we're going to cross Trout Creek right here. Rumor has it some kids built a dam on that thing. I don't know anything about it. And right here is the intersection of County Road 23 and County Road 2. And we're going to continue going west on County Road 2. Now you can see how close we are to the state line. We're within 3/4 of a mile of the state line on County Road 2, if you're not familiar with that area. And we're going to go in between the lakes. Round Lake is right here, Indiana Lakes, that's here. This is Sunset Boulevard. That'll take you up to Mills Grocery and Zimmy's Bar. And So we're going to continue to go west, and we'll get down here to the intersection of County Road 2 and County Road 21. Now at that last school, we didn't have any pictures of that school. You know, not everybody had a cell phone with them in those days, and there's not a lot of pictures out there, and that, you know, that was gone pretty quick, I suppose. So we're on County Road 21. We're going to go about a mile south on County Road 21. And we're going to go past the R.C. Coddensware Dairy Company right here, where they used to milk cows. And about a mile down the road, we're going to come to another schoolhouse right here. This is a mile from County Road 2 to this schoolhouse. And most of the schools back in those days were named after the landowners that they'd gotten the land from. So this school here is known as the Oran School and the Hilbish School. It's called by two different names, and it was built as a wood school in the 1850s, and it was designated as school number 8, District 8 school in Washington Township. Now, again, we don't have any pictures of that school, but that's why I brought this brick. Now, believe it or not, this brick was part of that school. And I know that for a fact because a good buddy of mine farmed that property, and he picked that brick up out there about 40 years ago. And so I'm going to believe him. That's part of that brick, or part of that school. Around Hilbish, District number 8. So now we're going to go south on County Road 21. And going south on County Road 21, we'll duck under the toll road, which goes across right here. Right here is County Road 104. And then we're going to continue south on County Road 21 until we come to the intersection, the T section of County Road 6 and County Road 21. Now, from that section, from that T section intersection, we're going to go west. And as we head west here, I'm going to take a little stop right here for a second. And right here, this property right in through here at one time was in the Larry App family. The App farm was right in here. It was also in the Reuben Cruse and Owen Cruse family, and this is where Cruse Farm Supply was. If you drove by there today, you saw that the mill was flattened today and no longer exists. It kind of made me a little sad when I saw that. I took some pictures, and we're going to continue going west there. But this is where Cruse Farm Supply is. Proctor Cemetery sits right back here. And we're going to go west on County Road 6 some more. We're going to cross the Washington Township ditch. And we know that that was man-made because it wasn't there in 1874 plat book. That was dug by, people dug that so that it could drain all the farmland to the north. And little fact there for you. And then we're going to continue to go west. And we'll get to right here is Zion Church. Now, you can see by this, it's not too far to the west township line, County Road 17, Zion Church. So we're going to go north at Zion Church on County Road 19, and we're going to cross dirt road right in here. And right here we're going to cross the toll road that goes across here. And as you cross the toll road today, if you get on top of the toll road and look right here, there's a great big old Amazon building. Sits empty, and that's where it is, right there. So across the street, they're putting in a new power company. And we're going to go north, and we're going to pass Sigsbee's Market, and we're going to get to the next school. And here we run into a little bit of a difference of spelling, I think. In Mr. Garber's book, this is referred to as the Rowe School. It was donated by Daniel Rowe, R-O-E. And in this plat book, it shows it the land belonging to Daniel Rau, R-A-U. Well, regardless, this is, I'm going to call this the Rowe School. This is District number 5 on County Road 19 North. This was built in the 1850s. And surprise, surprise, we've got some pictures of that school. It's been built into a beautiful home now. I took these pictures last summer. I know there are people that know more about this school than I do, or this house than I do. But I didn't get close enough to take pictures of that. I didn't know whether they had a big dog or whatever. But I kind of got on this, and there, of course, says Washington Township School, and I can't read that plaque, but according to this book right here, this school is District Number 5, and it's a beautiful home. And I got a couple, 3 pictures of it. So the District Number 5 school, Rose School, County Road 19 North. So we'll get back to my map, and we'll go back to this Rose School. And we'll head south on County Road 19. Of course, see, Rose School is handling all the people up here in the corner of Washington Township. And we'll head south on County Road 19. We'll get back to the Zion Church. We'll drive past that building. It's still empty. And we've got to the Zion Church. And at the Zion Church, we're going to go south a little ways, and we're going to come across another school. And that school originally was called the Weichel School, because when it was built, the property was owned by this gentleman right here, I believe, that family anyway. But later it became known as the Proctor School. And that was built in the 1850s. That's District Number 7 school. And in Dean Garber's book, I can remember it looking like this for a long time. This school, of course, built into a home, and I don't know, it seems like for most of my youth this car was parked out in front of it, but you know, it's a nice little school. I don't know what happened to it, but I took pictures last year, and it's all been abandoned, and you can see the brickwork on the school. And I don't really know any more about it other than it's a beautiful structure. And I took a couple pictures of it back then. So that would be the Proctor Weichel School. It was built in the 1850s. And that's on County Road 19 South. That's District School Number 7. Okay, so we're going to get back to my map. And if you look at this map, right here is the Proctor School. And as the crow flies, it's not too far to the South Township line. And it's only a mile to the West Township line. And as a crow flies, it's not too far, but the crow can fly and the kids can't. And so they'd have to swim across here. So they had to build a school on this side of the river. And right about where the road from Timberbrook comes out, we're going to find another school. Now, this is called the Gregory School. It also goes by the name of Cedar Dell School. And that is the picture I had on earlier. This picture, of course, is in Mr. Garber's book. And this was probably one of the first schools built in Washington Township after the one in Bristol, because this was designated as District School Number 1. And this school went from being a log school in the 1840s to be a wooden frame school to be a brick school. And after the consolidation, it became a home. And again, that's Gregory Cedar Dell School, District School Number 1. So we're going to get back on the map again, and we're going to go into Bristol. So we're going to go east on State Road 120, all along State Road 20 to the big city of Bristol. And before we talk about the school that was in the town of Bristol, we've got 2 more we need to talk about. So we're going to get on State Road 15, we're going to go north, heading towards Mottville. And as we go north on what today is State Road 15, we'll find another school up here to the north. And that went from log to wood. That was known as the Wells School. I don't know a whole lot about this. This is District School number 3. At one time, there was a school bell on State Road 15. Now, I don't know whether anybody can verify that or not, but that's what it said in that book, and I never saw it. So that was the Wells School, District number 3. One more school out in the country before we get into town. We'll go back to Bristol. And we'll go kind of southeast on what is County Road 8 today. And we'll take this out to County Road 27. And we'll go past where the Little League was, and we go south on County Road 27, past County Road 108, and the school sits here on the left side of the road. This school is known as the, named after landowners. It was the Congdon Fisher School. If you get a chance to go through these books, there's so much information in there, naming teachers, naming students who went to these schools. I didn't want to do it for one school because you guys get tired of listening to me. But if you get a chance, read these books, and you'll find out there's a lot of names that we've been around for our whole lives. Of course, Congdon Fisher's been around Bristol a lot longer than I have. So that was District School number 2, and that's on County Road 27, south of Little League. Now we're going to go back into the town of Bristol, and before I go into that, I think what I want to do is kind of go back over this a little bit so you can get an idea of how they laid these schools out. We'll stretch this out a little bit. And of course, here's the Congdon Fisher School I just talked about. Here's the Cedar Dell School. Right up here is the Proctor School. Right up here is the Rose School. Right over here is the Hilbish School. Right over here is Frank's School, or Trout Creek School. And then here's the Wells School on 15 North. Now, there's a hole for the schools, and it's down in this part of the township. And we're going to talk about that a little bit before we go back into Bristol. There's 2 schools that are right on the township border. One of them is that school that was in at the Bullard Farm. When I was growing up, that was called Bluegrass Grange, I believe. And that was torn down and reconstructed out at Bonneville, a wooden structure. And it's, like I said, it's the last wooden structure in Elkhart County of any of the schools. Now, the other school that was on this township line, we're going to drive you to it. Right here, right in here is where the American Legion's at, and we're going to go south on County Road 23, and we're going to drive down through here, and we're going to turn right here where Glenn Brown lived, and we're going to make this 90, and we're going to stay right on County Road 23, and then we're going to go south on County Road 23, and we're going to tee right into County Road 14 that runs along Jefferson Township, Washington Township line. Now, if you run that stop sign, you're going to run right into this. And a lot of you knew that. That's White Brick School. And that school exists today. It's out in some of you guys' neighborhood. And that is, it's a home today. Doing a little bit of research with this, I kind of dovetailed in with this school. And the thing that I found out was pretty neat. This is, of course, one of Jefferson Township schools. And this is known as District 11 in Jefferson Township. And Jefferson Township didn't consolidate their one-room schools until 1929. So this remained a one-room school until 1929. The Bristol schools consolidated in 1904. So the thing that just that I get a big kick out of is this remained a one-room school for 25 more years after the Bristol schools consolidated. So that's another generation and a half of kids that went through this school. But in 1929, in the Depression, they consolidated. They built their brick school over there on State Road 15, Hardscrabble, Frog Pond, White Brick School, and all the other schools in Jefferson Township all end up going to Jefferson School on State Road 15. This place goes abandoned, and very shortly after this, a young couple moved in there with a couple kids, and that was my grandpa and my dad. And so my dad was raised in White Brick School. So that one is kind of special to me. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the school that was in Bristol. And got another one of my favorite maps. There, of course, is the bridge. Most all of the town set on the east side of Division Street. And I learned something doing this. It's always good to learn stuff, but I learned something doing this. I'd always heard about the first school in Bristol. Let's see if I can find it quick here. That school right there. Log cabin school built along the south bank of the St. Joe River in Bristol. And I always, for some reason, figured that was out here in the Cathcart land over up in here, but it actually wasn't. It was right here, right in this area. That was the first school in the town of Bristol. And for purposes of township keeping track of, this is referred to as District School number 6, Washington Township. Now, I don't know why that is, but it's number 6. And another thing I didn't know, we're going to go back to this, that school existed until 1858 as a log school right along here. But the second school in Bristol wasn't where I thought it was. Second school in Bristol was right down here by the Bristol Banner. Now, did you know that?
No.
Okay, well, both of us learned something on this. It was a wooden structure. Wasn't there very long, and it may have been during the period of time that they were going to the school that most everybody knows about, but school was held down here for a little while, and then eventually the school was over here on the corner of Washington and Elkhart Avenue. Now, for you who are not familiar with that area, today this is where Harding sits, and this is where the Bristol Fire Department is. And this would be actually, like I said, learned something, the third school in the town of Bristol. Now this one up here might not have been there very long, but it was mentioned. So this is what that school looked like, Bristol School. And some of you will remember that school. Okay, so we went over all the different schools. There's 7 schools out in the township, out in the country. And then as of like 1880, 1890, there's one in town. And it's this school right here, District School number 6. Sets catty corner from the Bristol Fire Department today in Hardings. And this actually was a 2-room school. And we're sailing along here in the 1890s. Everything is going well. You've got representatives from each one of the schools working with the trustee, and the school board, along with the trustees, taking care of the schools. And around 1900, this school here is starting to not look so good. So discussions were being made about building a new school and consolidating all the township country schools along with the new school that was to be built. Now, the trustee was in favor of that. That would give central location of the school. He could handle the money and the needs of one school. Townspeople, of course, they were in favor of it. They were going to get a new modern school. They felt they would get better instruction and better qualified teachers at a new school. And of course, this is 1901 to early 1903. The folks out in the country, the rural people, weren't so hot on this idea. A lot of discussions were taking place, and sounds like a lot of arguments took place about not wanting to move their kids into school, and they had many reasons were given for not wanting to do that. And one of the big ones, and if you think about it, everybody out in the country at that time pretty much made a living farming. And they felt that the land values would fall if they didn't have a school close by. And that was proven to be false many years later, but that was a valid concern in 1902. One of the bigger concerns I think that they were concerned about was they would lose their kids' labor. Kids wouldn't be able to do chores before school and after school because they were busy getting back and forth from a school that was farther away. And that was a concern for them also, as well as how do we get these kids from the Michigan line to Bristol? Again, you can't throw them in a station wagon. They're going to have to get there somehow, buckboard wagon or a pony or somehow. It's a little bit longer drive by horse or by foot. And the fourth reason that was given, and I kind of blew it off when I first read it, and I got thinking about it, the people out in the country were concerned about spreading diseases. You know, it's the old too many calves in the pen theory that you get everybody out there and somebody gets sick and everybody's going to get sick. So they were kind of concerned about that, and I got to thinking, well, you know, that maybe not so. But if you think about it, this is 1902, 1901. Bristol, 10 years prior, just went through a malaria scare with the water being built up from the dam being built up in Bristol. And there's a lot of written about it in the Bristol Banner and several other places. They didn't know what malaria was. People were getting sick. The mosquitoes was causing it, and people were getting mysteriously sick. And so there was some concern about the disease. So anyway, after I thought about that a little bit, I thought, you know, that was a valid concern for the people out in the country. Well, anyway, the arguments roared. Blacksmith shop, all the different stores in town. And eventually it came to a head when on May 11th, 1903, the trustee of the Washington Township Schools, within his rights, abolished the school board. He didn't want this, you know, it sounds like a political move that take place today, but he had the right to do it. He was in charge of dispersing and raising the money. So he told the guys from each one of the township schools that I'll handle it from here, and he did. And what he did was he told the fine folks of Washington Township that we're going to build a new school in Bristol, and you're welcome to come to it if you like. If you don't, you can stay out where you're at, but you're going to pay for it. So taxes were raised in all of Washington Township, and a brand new school was built. And that was this guy right here. So when that happened, this was built, started to be built in the summer of 1903. At the time, the trustee, under the watch of John H. Virgil, the trustee built this brand new school from bricks, where the museum is today and Bristol High School is. And that was built for $16,000 in 1903, $16,000. And the thing that amazed me, it was built sometime after the school board was disbanded, the end of May, and it was ready for occupancy the first day of 1904. So somebody laid some bricks in a big hurry. So in 1904, we've got a brand new brick school, best of instruction, best of teachers, and suddenly the arguments that were being taken place out in the country took a new tone. The people out in the country have decided that maybe it wouldn't be so bad if our kids went to a brand new school and had better qualified teachers and were given the newest of instructions. So that's what happened in the next year and a half. All the kids that were in Washington Township ended up going to Washington Township School, which became Bristol High School, opened up in 1904, and by the 1905, 1906, all the one-room schools in Washington Township were closed. So one of the things that I got to doing a little bit of math on, in 1903, this school opened up, 1903, 1904, and in 1966, we consolidated with Elkhart, so it actually was closed. So that school ran for 63 years. From 1966 until 2023 is 57 years. We've been talking about that school for almost as long as it was open. And it's still there. You know, everybody that went to it has a lot of pride. And it's pretty cool that it's still remembered 57 years after it's closed. So that is, that's the story of the Washington Township Schools. It was kind of fun doing it. That is, you guys will recognize that. That's the old school that was too dilapidated for education in 1903. That school lasted longer than most of the other schools in the township under various names. I think at this time this was a business that was building berry boxes for the fruit hills. It was also the home of the Simplex Pump Company, and at the end it was the home of the Blue Jean outlet. I never was in it when it was a Blue Jean outlet. Mike Walters had it. Okay, so that, you know, it was amazing. The trustee had determined that this was too dilapidated to hold school in, but it held business for another 50 some years. So that was pretty cool. One of the things that I run into while I was doing this that I had fun with, I originally started looking at this down at the museum, and when I was talking to the ladies down at the museum, they dug out a box of stuff for me. And these are the grade books, school registers from some of the teachers. And this happens to be from District number 4, which would make it the Washington Township School number 4. And they've got a bunch of these down at the museum, and you can get them out and look at them. And in this box here, they keep them in the back there, not out in the open, but if you ask for them, you can get them. And it's teachers' registers from 1895 until 1916. And you can go through there, and it's kind of neat if you've been around this community a long time, you recognize a lot of the names. And I definitely did up there on this one right here, the grade school, the grade register for Washington Township Schools. A lot of the King family went to this school. Some of my family went to that school. And I got to reading through that book, and I found this entry here. And this is, I don't have the year, but he was 14 years old. He was in the 9th grade. This is Harold Watson. This is my dad's namesake, my great uncle. Some of you knew him as HK. In 9th grade, A.E. Watson was my great-grandfather. Had to sign for him. And in the 9th grade, he quit the school. And that was what was written in that. Now, make you all feel better, he finished school. He actually was, he finished school and he went to correspondence school afterwards. And he became quite involved in the community. And but ninth grade, he quit school. Township trustee. But in 9th grade, he quit school. And he hired the teachers. And here is a picture that come out of one of the early 1910, 1913 annuals. How we got some of them kids up to the state line or County Road 17, these old hacks that would drive these kids, school buses with tails on them. So that's all I got. Like Forrest Gump said, that's all I got to say about that. So that's where we are. Why don't we take a break?